accidentally opened a letter that wasn't meant for me, and it completely changed the way I see my family. About 6 months ago, I went back to my parents' house for a weekend visit. Nothing special, just one of those quiet trips where you eat home-cooked food, watch old TV shows, and pretend everyone's lives haven't gotten complicated with age. Saturday morning, my mom asked me to grab the mail from the front porch. I walked outside, picked up the small stack of envelopes, and started flipping through them while walking back inside. Most of it was normal stuff. Bills, a grocery store flyer, a couple advertisements, but one envelope caught my attention. It had my dad's name on it, but the return address looked like it was from a lawyer's office. At first, I didn't think much about it. My dad is the kind of person who forgets about paperwork until the last minute, so I figured it was just something he needed to sign. I set the pile of mail on the kitchen counter and went to make coffee. A few minutes later, my dad walked in, looked at the envelopes, and suddenly got very quiet. He picked up that one letter from the lawyer and slipped it into his pocket almost immediately. I asked him what it was. He smiled in that awkward way parents do when they don't want to explain something. Just paperwork, he said. Then he changed the subject. At the time, I let it go. But over the next few weeks, I started noticing little things that didn't make sense. My dad began taking phone calls outside. He would step into the backyard and close the door before answering. Sometimes he would sit in the car for 10 minutes after coming home before walking inside. My mom didn't seem to notice any of it. Or if she did, she didn't say anything. Then one evening, my dad asked me something out of nowhere. Do you think people can keep secrets for the right reasons? The question was so random I didn't even know how to answer. I shrugged and said it depends on the secret. He nodded like he had expected that answer. 2 weeks later, I came home again for dinner. My parents had invited my older sister and her husband too, so the house was full and loud like it used to be when we were kids. Halfway through the evening, my dad suddenly stood up and asked everyone to sit in the living room. He said he needed to explain something. That's when he told us about the letter. It wasn't just random paperwork. It was a notice from a law firm about a property that technically belonged to our family but had never been claimed. Apparently, my grandfather tried to sell the land decades ago, but the paperwork was never finalized in the county records, so legally the property was still under his name. The property still legally belonged to my dad, and over the years the land had become extremely valuable. Developers had been trying to buy it for months. The offer on the table was more money than any of us had ever seen in our lives. My sister immediately started talking about how we could split the money and help everyone out. Her husband began asking questions about the taxes and the timeline. The whole room suddenly felt like a business meeting. My dad listened to everyone for a few minutes without interrupting. Then he said something that made the entire room go quiet. I haven't decided if I'm selling it. We all looked confused. My dad explained that the land wasn't just empty property. It was the place where he grew up, the place where his parents built their first house. He said selling it would feel like erasing the last piece of his childhood that still existed. My sister argued that holding on to land like that didn't make sense when the money could change everyone's lives. My dad didn't raise his voice. He just looked around the room and said something I still think about all the time. Sometimes people think money solves everything, but sometimes money is exactly the thing that ruins families. He folded the letter back into the envelope and set it on the table. Right now, the developers are still waiting for his answer. My sister keeps bringing it up every time we see each other. My dad refuses to rush the decision. I honestly don't know what he'll choose in the end, but after watching how quickly everyone started arguing the moment money entered the conversation, I think I finally understand why he's hesitating. Because once that land is sold, the money might help everyone financially, but it might also be the exact moment our family stops feeling like one.